So with that, I want to jump into first the beauty expert part and then the motivator part.
Story time. Who got the tea? Who got the tea? Yeah. Story time. Who got the tea? She got the tea. Yeah. Anything you need to know. Story time. Just tune into the show. Story time. Story time. Story time. Tell me your life. Story.
So speak a little bit about you as a beauty professional and how that came to be.
So I was actually an investigator for the Department of Treasury.
Ooh, the feds! Oh my God! Watch what you say over
And
here.
I completely hated it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just reverted back to like my childhood and like what I really like to do. And I know creating was one of those things, and I used to draw a lot. I can literally go outside, look at something, and just replicate drawing. And I would spend hours of trying to like detail. So once I tried to figure out like what I wanted to do after I didn't want to do the investigation stuff anymore, I went to LA and I started honing in on special effects, which that's why I started off at. And special effects was like, oh my God, I can create these monsters. I can do this, I can do that. And I'm just like, but now I got to come back to DC and it's not a niche for it. So I end up going to go get a certification from Bennett Career Institute, and I ran into my mentor who like took me underneath her wing. She's now like my god sister, and just beauty and the everyday woman and doing weddings and all of that stuff came into play. And then I was like, okay, I need to learn more. So like I went to MAC and like kind of try to learn how different skin types and all of that stuff. And then after that, I was just like, I'm not happy. So I wanted to do like, I wanted to see my work, but I knew I wanted to see it on TV, but I didn't know in what way.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started like reaching out to people, networking, and I feel like networking is like really big. I always tell people network. No matter.
Okay, but tell them how to network, because every time someone says network, I hear that is so hard for people, especially people who are like introverted and don't like to really talk.
So networking can be scary, but how you network is one, find your niche. Two, I start with like Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you start following people of your same niche, you start seeing like, oh, they went to this event or they went here. And then you can kind of start going to certain events that is tailored to you. Don't just go to a networking event because it's a networking event, because it could be a tech networking event, and that don't have nothing to do with me and beauty. So why not start with the Facebook groups? Why not start following certain people in your brand or whatever? So I just say like, it's all about finding people that's doing similar things as you,
Mm-hmm.
and then using that to catapult or pivot and change the dynamic for what you want it to look like for you. Just learn from people that's already been in the business. So, after I found my mentor, we became like god sisters, and she actually connected me with people that work in the news. And even that journey in itself was just like super crazy, because I'm like emailing, no response back. And I'm just like, I remember the last email that I sent out, it was, if I don't meet the criteria, tell me what I need to do so I can work on it.
Oh my God. I need to start saying that to people. I don't get nothing and say, look, tell me what it is.
Tell me what I need to do. Just tell me. Because let me build myself up to be able to be in an arena with people of certain status or whatever like that. Like, and I remember the email that I got back, and it was, I no longer work here, but I'll send over your resume. And probably not even a week later, like, I got an interview, and I worked there for, I want to say no more than like 3 months, and I got fired.
Well, look, but at least you got in the door. I just feel like sometimes they don't even take the chance, and you can't learn to do something if nobody takes the chance.
But I tell people it's all about the journey, and it's a blessing in disguise when you know what you want to do and you're putting in effort to do what you want to do, and you just continue to push on.
Mm-hmm.
So after I got fired, I remember I called my dad and I cried. Like, I lost my dream job. And I did not go home for 2 days. I slept on my friend's couch. I turned my phone off. Like, everybody was trying to figure out where I'm at. And for probably maybe 2 or 3 years, I never told nobody what happened.
Oh, no.
And probably maybe, I want to say it was 2 weeks later, it was Trump's first inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the week leading up to, and another network needed help. And that lady that I sent the email to and said, hey, I know you're no longer there. Are you able to like help out, whatever? I came in forward to help out for 1 day. I'm now going on 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's just a blessing and a curse of like how things happen. It's just like, when you're not prepared, it's okay. Because even when I got let go, the lady was just like, you're an awesome makeup artist. Like, you just have to learn hair. Because at that network, you need to learn both. Mm-hmm. And I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and I tried. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. And
that's not really that bad. I mean, because some people can do some bomb hair and cannot do makeup to save their life. So to be able to do both is like
everybody
amazing.
Has their niche.
Yeah.
And I will say that. But when I learned both, I learned how much more valuable I was in the industry to be able to hone in and provide the services for both at the same time, especially mm-hmm. money-wise. Like, you tell people I know how to do hair and makeup, and I always knew how to do hair, but I never knew how to do white hair. Gotcha. Like the blowouts, like, I can slick a ponytail, I can do weaves, I can do wigs. Uh-huh. Like, I started weaves and wigs before I even started makeup. So it was just like, once you learn a skill set, you're unstoppable.
True. And I mean, I know, like, I've always been told, and what I've learned, like, even from doing the work that I do here, it's like, you know, I have help today, but it's always, and I mean, even my boyfriend talks a lot about, like, making yourself invaluable in a way, like, yeah, you can be on camera and you can interview, but you also a person who can shoot, you can edit, you can do graphics, you can write scripts, you can, like, EP, you can do a lot of different mm-hmm. things. So it's like, though they may only know the one thing that you do, because that's what you're presenting, but if you ever are asked, you can present that you can do, you know, a full gambit of things, mm-hmm. which is like, some people just don't know how, and they're fine not learning how. So that's amazing that you even took that setback and learned.
Because the setback only is like, it's motivation for me to be like, all right, this is what I need to do. Because if you would have told me before, I would have been like on it. So it's motivation to keep going.
And how lovely and wonderful a situation is with that lady who you emailed. Because not only to say, hey, I'm not even here, but maybe something in what you said or something about you was like, I'm going to still try to help you even though I'm not here.
And me and her are really close.
Reach back out when an opportunity comes. And now you say 8 years later. That's amazing.
Yep.
Now, what time frame was that?
It was literally a week and a half later, probably.
I mean, year-wise. But that was great. That was great that it was, like, so quick. But, like, what year was it?
Oh, what year? 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look at everything. Oh, yeah, you did say, you said right before Trump inauguration.
Yeah.
You said that. I look at everything, like, pre- and post-COVID. Like, it's the time before. And then now where we're at now. So, everyone, especially people who I've been able to, like, bring back on the show, who I've gotten to, like, sometimes meet in person because of the pandemic, everyone, it seems like 2019, 2020 time was, like, a shift for everyone in their business, professionally, collectively, you know, as all of us. It's just everything changed. What happened for you during the time of, like, pandemic, when work, again, in the space that you're working in has changed? And I'm sure that's probably around the time this book came to be.
I lost myself for a long time because I wasn't able to be creative. So, of course, we were home.
Yeah.
All the news people were doing their own makeup, their own hair. And it's funny because I'm literally talking to, like, my coworkers on the phone, and I'm just like, they need us. Like, we definitely got to come back. Like, but then I just, like, I start seeing them. That's what I said. Any effort that you put into trying to be better, then it's like, you have to be better. But I started seeing the progression month after month of like, they got so much better at their hair. They got so much better at their makeup. And then I was just like, what do they need at? And then it turned into like, we wasn't getting a phone call. Like, they were paying us at first, and then that stopped. I was keeping up with my mortgage, and it was just like, okay, everything is like, it's 6 months, now it's 7 months, now it's 8, now it's like a year in. It's just like, okay, what's going on? But I definitely lost myself. I think I lost my creative mindset and ability, and just loving being creative and doing makeup. And I tried to find ways to kind of like boost it back up and not get discouraged. And then I just think that I went into like depression. But when I got the phone call back, and in the midst of that, I started a lace wig bleach knot system product, and which is still like in production. I'm not giving up on that, but it kind of brought my spark back. Like, it gave me, like, I'm a hustler at the end of the day. Like, I had my hands in a lot of different pots, and I found myself again doing that. And then I got the phone call back, so then that gave me the energy to just be like, all right, we about to go back to work, we about to do this. And then even getting back to work though, I felt like I lost a little skill set, because like when you're in a routine of doing something every single day, you kind of forget like how this person like this, or how this person like that, or using these parts. Like, it's just like trying to build that routine back up. But it was fun. Like, I mean, when you look back on it, if you could tell your younger self at that time, like, everything gonna be okay, everything gonna work out.
And at that time, it just was like, that's why I say it's like the pre and the post, because there's no in between. Like, everything, even in life and just how I think about things, like the time before and now this is the time after. Because it really is a very different world. And like you said, a lot of things changed in the after. Like, things that job people had, expectations people had for what you're supposed to do, a lot of that stuff changed, and you had to get to be very, self-actuary, like, in a sense. Like, it's on you. There's no one else there, so you have to figure some of these things out. But I do say, if it did nothing else other than, like, the horribleness of, like, the lives that were lost, for the ones who are still here, I think if you were already, like, a hustler and a go-getter, or someone who was a creative person, your mind just had to work in so many different ways.
It built character.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. It built character. And now, so this is In Pursuit of a Dream, a workbook for creatives. Now, let's speak on this here. Because, as you said, so many things happened. Now, was this an idea that came around that time, or how did
it came around COVID? Yes. Okay.
How did this come
about? And being in the house 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on the phone with friends, and this one friend that I used to talk to till 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and he was like so engaged about like what I do and this and that, and it was nothing in it was just in a platonic way. And I'm just like, why is he asking me all these questions? And he was just like, yo, you got so much knowledge to give people. And I was just like, I'm not there yet. And he was like, yes, you are. And I was like, So I started even thinking myself, and I'm just like, what did I need at that time when I was trying to pursue my dreams? And it was so many things that I needed that I had to learn for myself. And I feel like people that are inspiring influencers or inspiring makeup artists or beauty and hair, and first he was telling me to write a ebook for, makeup artists or beauty experts, and I was just like, no, like, I don't want to do that. But it's just like, how can I help everybody at the same time? Because building a dream, it's the same key points and factors for everything. It's networking, it's building this, it's making sure this is in alignment, it's doing this, it's doing that. So it's just like, what are those key factors that I need to make sure that I pursue my dreams? And that's when I kind of came up with, it's just like, I just don't want to help makeup artists and beauty experts. I can help them any given day, but how can I help other people too?
And you know what I always love about the people who come to my show, or just people in general, when I like watch things or just interview folks or just interview people in general, I love when there is a person who the basis of why they're doing something is honestly for others. Because at the end of the day, you're already very successful. You're already doing what you want to do, living the life that you want to live, but you then take that moment to say, well, how can I take that step back? How can I give that back? How can I make this, at least my, even if it's just my small circle better, or people who are wanting to do something like me, feel like fulfilled, and not just, like you said, beauty experts, just people in general. I think that's a true testament to like the type of person that you are, and I feel that is just so important, and that's something that you really can't teach, you know? I mean, I hope your book can teach some of it, you know, that's why you wrote a book, but I do know that, like, at the core, there's a lot of people who are very just self-focused, and to a degree, sometimes that's okay, but it's a different type of person that wants to then reach back.
I think it's certain phases in your life you have to be self-absorbed and self-focused. You can't really give what you don't know, and you have to actually take from other people. And when I hear a lot of people saying like, all she want to do is take, well, what do you have? Do you have something to give? And if you have something to give, allow people to take from you so they can learn and hopefully help the next person, and then they can learn, and then it's a trickle down effect. And if that person grows a little bit more than you did from the knowledge that you gave, then they can now pull you up and say like, hey, my mentor is actually a beast and better than me. Like, help them get that position as director or this and that, like anything. So I'm always willing to like give knowledge and help people to grow. But at certain parts in your life, you have to be selfish. And I don't mind people's selfish errors. I just mind people that are gatekeepers when they know and they're not willing to help or give. That's when I have a problem with. And if you want to be a gatekeeper, cool. Somebody else knows. Like, you're not the only one.
That's true.
It is what it is.
So in the book, I'm sure we're not going to give it away because I don't want anyone to think that they don't have to buy the book, because that is not the case. But there are some things that you touch on in the book. Can you speak a little bit about some of the things that you do advise these aspiring, what would you call them? I think on the book you say creatives. There you go. Just overall creatives.
Everybody's a creative in their own way.
Well, there you go. Creatives.
I think the main things that I want people to take away from the book is like how to understand like roadblocks. Like, roadblocks is not, I'm not good enough. Roadblocks isn't not having the ability to. It's just, it's more so the see how much fight you have in you for this. And when you push through every obstacle, you know you want it. And another thing is like understanding the culture that you're going into. Like, how do I enter this space, regardless if it's makeup, beauty, or whatever it is? How do I enter this space and understand the culture? Because it's not going to be the same everywhere. And you're going to have to present yourself. And it's not changing yourself, but understanding the culture. Hey, like, I need X, Y, and Z to fulfill this. Or for me, I didn't understand that the culture of the first news network that I wanted to go into is I had to learn how to do hair and makeup. If I understood that, I would have came prepared enough for it. But it gave me a roadblock, and it's just like, okay, am I going to take this roadblock and say I'm not good enough and go back to where I came from? Or am I going to take this roadblock and now learn what I need to learn in order to be a part of this culture that I want to be a part of? And then celebrating like small wins. And there's actually a section in there that allows you to write down small wins, even if it's building your website, even if it's saving $250 for X, Y, and Z. Celebrate your small wins, because like sometimes like the ability to look back at your small wins to say like, oh, I did that. Oh, I did finish this, or I did take that class and get a certification in X, Y, and Z because I want to do cybersecurity or whatever it is. And the other thing I think is perception versus reality.
Oh, my.
And that's a really big part of it too, because in a part of the book it says like go to a couple of different family friends or whatever and allow them to describe you and what you need to work on, and not taking that as criticism but constructive criticism, and say like, oh, I do have an attitude, or I don't know how to speak to people when I get upset. Like, how can I now use that to better myself? And the perception versus reality part also is too, like, your family isn't always your niche. And now you're going to fall out with family because they didn't support your fitness goal when grandma is 300 pounds and never went to go work out.
So why would not her life
support your fitness? Like,
no, it's true.
And it's those things that I think that no matter what journey you're on and how many, because I look at these books as journals, and how many of these journals you get for each level of your career, no matter if you're pivoting or changing careers, you can always use something like that to kind of catapult you into where you want to go.
I think that's amazing because, like, for me, I've always been a person who just, like, I used to journal a lot more when I'm journaling. It's always so funny, like, when I find journals from times in my life, oh my God, I was so melodramatic. It was like,
that was crazy.
The world was coming to an end. And I mean, honestly, for me, I remember how I felt at the time of reading certain things. And I really, at my mind, was like, this is the worst thing ever happened. And now, 10, 15 years later, I don't even think about that stuff. But at the time, it's always nice to, like, look back and say, look how crazy you was. That's why I love my Facebook's, like memories.
I had to delete some.
They will humble you. I was saying some crazy stuff. I was like, who is this person? But I do feel like just the act of journaling and writing down your thoughts, and I think, like, what you said was very, very profound about looking back at your wins, because I feel, and I do this myself, and my family and friends can attest, like, they will talk about me better than I talk about me.
Or that you want to.
Like, right. It's like I am so in the weeds with all that I'm still not doing or that I haven't done or haven't accomplished, and I be feeling so discouraged sometimes. But if you go to any of my family and friends and they introduce you to somebody, you would just think that she is the star of the show. And I'm like, y'all are so nice, but it's not even a me thing. But then I have to realize they're only saying this because they've seen all of the work that you've done. Stuff that you might not even think about because that was 3 years ago or something that was 6 months ago. To them, it is your body of work, and it shows how amazing you are.
And they're so proud.
Yeah, and they're proud.
It's actually a blessing to have aunts and uncles to introduce you to their friends or whoever it is. It's like, this is my niece, and she a celebrity makeup. Right. And I was like, girl. Not because I think the real reason why we can't accept family and friends doing that is because we look at other people and we see how far we have to go.
Yeah.
And we just like, nah, that's the celebrity makeup artist. But in reality, yeah, you are the shit. Like, you are doing things because it's other people that's probably not even doing half the things that you're doing. But it's still uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
And I'm going to tell my aunts and uncles and my friends, it's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable to sit there and watch you give a whole rundown of my life, okay?
But like you said, I mean, and I think that I love that that's a part of the book because then it's not even just someone bragging on you. It's you being able to say in a year from now when you go back and just read, yo, I did take that class. And it was like, I'm never going to take this class. I'm never going to pass this class. And then you did it, and now you've moved on from it, but it helped you continuing on with whatever your goal as a creative is. And I think that's great. Did you know you wanted it to be like a workbook type of like journal when you made it, or you were just trying to figure out how to get these thoughts in your head out?
I think it was that. So, crazy enough, I want to say for 6 years leading up into me writing a book, I used to always just write like quotes in my phone. And when I said I had pages and pages and pages, like 6 years worth of like quotes or just like short little paragraphs about like how to overcome a roadblock or like writing down checklists and stuff like that. And I really didn't know how I wanted to set up the book because everybody would, when I told them I was writing a book, they thought I was writing. It was like, oh, it's great. It's about your life and like how you came about to being a makeup artist. And I was like, nah.
It's actually not it at all.
I was like, I'm not there yet. Like, I can't be writing all that. But I think it's changed into a workbook because I said I didn't want to do the work for people. Like, there's these motivational books out here that tells you the how-to, but your how-to is never going to be my how-to. My story is always going to be different. So why not just give you the blueprint and you input your how-to or however your journey goes? And that's kind of like how it just went into like a workbook.
That's interesting because I know a lot of people, at least the people who motivational that I've come across or that I see, they're all into the telling everybody what they need to do. And for me, I kind of have a similar take. It's very hard for me to just listen to someone tell me certain things. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So I'm always, like, even when I do these interviews, I take almost every single interview that I've done. And every single, when I ask for the tidbits for them, they're also for me. So I can, like, learn and take from it and, like, go back and digest it. And I feel like I use all these pieces to then know how I should move forward. But I don't always take every single thing everyone is saying. Do you find that is hard in that motivational space? Because I feel like a lot of people are telling you what to do and they're like, I'm the expert, you should listen to me.
I love motivational stuff, like self-help books, podcasts, like I think I'm not really like that anymore, but a certain part of my life I was driving to work listening to TD Jakes and like anything that actually encouraged me to push me forward. And a lot of TD Jakes was like the success and like the, like his workbooks and all of that stuff. I love the motivational part of it. I love to be inspired to continue on, but like you said, like taking the bits and pieces. For me to try to take the same journey that you took, it's no possible way. Yeah. One, if you took that journey 10 years ago, there's no possible way I can take that same journey.
Well, yeah, it's a different
at
world.
All. Like I remember, what's his name? Frederick? No, God dog, I don't know why his name is slipping me right now. Reggie Wells. Wells. So he's now passed away. I think it was like this year or last year. But he gave a story, and he was Oprah's makeup artist. And he said that to get into this business, like you had to have like this portfolio book and, and he didn't have none of that. And he told a story about how he like snuck in the back door at this place and, he started working with all these people. It's like, it's no way you can tell that story and tell somebody that that's what they're supposed to do and think they're not going to get locked up this day.
Yeah, I know. They're going to get caught.
It's just like it worked for you back then. And a lot of old school makeup artists, they worked with a lot of big names because there wasn't really a lot. Yeah. And they actually just, went into like different production companies and sent a portfolio book and they was able to get put on gigs and things like that. But now in this day and time, like you got so many people that want to be makeup artists and hairstylists. And I was in that transition when I started between learning how to make a portfolio book, which is not needed anymore. Like it had to be a certain size. It had to be this, the quality of the photos, the this and that. And then I'm like, I did all this work to perfect what I needed to do or what I thought old school makeup was, because that's what they was telling me I needed. And now it's these people that are putting filters on photos, and these people are coming along and they're killing the game. And then people are mad because they get their makeup done and it's like, well, it don't look like that. So it was like at one point, makeup and filtered work was like so popular. And I'm just like, and then I thought like, well, maybe I need to do that. Maybe I need to filter my work. Maybe I need to look like this. Maybe I need to get the ring light. And then after a while, you're just like, no, I just need to be me. People tell me all the time, like, do makeup tutorials, do this, do that, and I was just like, no.
Everybody has ideas. I'll tell you that. People are not lacking ideas of what you need to do. I'll tell you that. Sometimes it's quality, most times it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think you bring up a good point. I know, like, for me, when I always so funny, everybody like, you act like you're so old. I'm not old. But in the span of, like, how things have popped, again, when you say pre and post COVID, like, I'm old to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, like, the way in which, like, I went to school. I studied broadcast journalism. I interned at a news station. Like, I did all those things. And that was just the way. And it was, like, all these things you had to do in order to be taken seriously or even try to get in the door. Whereas now, it is a completely different thing. And you don't know what's going to make you pop or what's going to make you
just go buy it on social media.
for nothing. And
get a job.
And get a job. And it's like, when I just know, I remember, like, my mom and, like, other people be like, oh, girl, if you want to work in the news, you know, you just need to go in and intern at the station. Just go to the station and tell them that you want to work there. I mean, everybody who I know who was, like, working in the 80s and the 90s, like my parents' age, my mother would quit a job, go next door, and walk in and get another job. And it was like, what is this life? Like, if it was that easy for me to just say, hey, I want to work here. I'm going to be a great employee. I'm going to come here and I'm going to get dressed up and give you my resume. If that gave me jobs, I would be working. My dreams would be done.
But
I dream.
I sent out so many emails in the beginning, like, to news stations, like, hey, if you ever need a makeup artist, like, I'll do it for free. I'll do this. I'll do that. And now that I think about it, I'm just like, big dummy. Like, they never call back, never text back.
Well, one email did really, but yeah, I mean,
well, that email did.
Yeah, it's like that, but it's like you said, it's just a different way, and it's like, I think once you probably got to that point of being like, ugh, I'm done with this. Take what I need to do. Mm-hmm. You being you was what got you the opportunity, because I think that, look, I'm tired of playing these games with y'all. Yeah. What do I need to do so that I can be better? And then you got someone who actually took the chance. And is that kind of like the idea and theme, like, of the book too? Like, if you be you and you kind of, like, learn that you will be okay?
Yeah, it's a section in the book was like, be different but not difficult. And that kind of tell it towards just be you, but don't come into a space like trying to impose or change things. And if you show your personality and all of that, like, people will accept you, but don't be difficult. Like, don't come into a space trying to change and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's really about just being you.
So, like I said, for the people who are on the, like, social media run where they get their information, do you do that on social as well, or are you more traditional print?
I don't do really too much on social media. And honestly, I don't know why. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like my social media is more for just, like, living my life. Mm-hmm. And what I do on the outside, because, like, I'm a traditional person when it comes to my job is my job, and what I do for my job is what I do. I might show some things of, like, great things that I've done within the space, but I don't never feel like the teacher. Like, I don't want my social media to be like, oh, I'm trying to teach people how to be this way, teach people how to do that. Like, I have my hands in a lot of different pots. Like I said, like, I feel like I'm an entrepreneur of many things, but I don't have to show all those things to feel like I need to be accepted by anybody. But, I mean, people know I wrote a book. It's on my social media. People know I've done this. It's on my social. Like, it just doesn't need to be an everyday thing for me.
So then, if they want these nuggets, they only when they get this book.
Yes.
And where can they get the book?
They can get the book on JaNeceBradford.com.
Did you hear that? It's a beautiful website, by the way. I've already been there. On JaNeceBradford.com, that is where you can go to just learn about you as well as your book. Is there anything else that you want people to take away from? Like I said, it's funny because it's like we have you as beauty expert, we also have you as a motivator. I just kind of feel like they're just you, and they're, like, tied into your personality. So, like, what is just you as JaNece want people to take away and know more about?
I just think, like, life is short, and the takeaway is to enjoy it to the full. enjoy it to the fullest. And we have this thing that we like to say, like, I'm building a legacy. And for probably the last 3 months, I started to realize that the takeaway is you can build this legacy for your legacy to not keep it going. So I just feel like live life how you want to live it, and don't stress yourself out trying to do it for somebody else. Like, yeah, we probably want that silver spoon, family, but will your family actually continue on the legacy like many white people?
That's a good point, though, too.
Yeah. It's just like, do what you want to do and let that progress for itself, if it will. Because my father owned a business on Capitol Hill. We're not like in this business and doing that. Like, and it's funny because like at a young age, he was like, "Oh, you guys can take over the business." When I said, "I'm not taking over that business," like I made it very clear that I'm not taking over business. I was like, I'll have somebody to probably come and work it if that's like your will for to be done. But I'm like, I'm not doing that because like everybody has their own path. Like, I never want to force my child to take over any business that I built because that was my journey.
Yeah.
And these people that's just like grooming their children to be what they want them to be, I just think that the takeaway is just live your life for you. Like, give them something like monetary that maybe they can push their agenda for, but your agenda is your agenda. Just allow it to be you.
No, I think that's great. There's a whole lot of people on the internet right now. I think like as Black people, it's more not necessarily like a soundbite, but I feel like a lot of people, love to talk about, oh, I'm building a legacy, oh, I'm building generational wealth, and all these things that they say. But it's also like, yeah, but what are you gonna do if you do all of this stuff and then that person doesn't want it, or you do all of these things and then this is just not what your child cares about? Or my favorite, all the Black people, I don't know what they're gonna do. They're gonna have to go to school. They're gonna have to do this, and then you get to that date and they don't want to go to school. It's just not their thing. But that was your thing or your parents' thing. Sometimes I feel like when you go through all of these things, like it's good to have a good foundation and want the best. But to really like plan everything out, I just feel like it never works out how you want it to.
Yeah, I want everybody to see me as success, and not really see me because that's kind of a word that I don't like using. But I want to be successful in my own right. But I also want everybody else that I mentor, or a child that I don't have yet, but a child that comes from me, like I just want them to know, like, you can do whatever you put your mind to, because you see I have done it. Like, look at my journey. If you ever need help, I have the network to help you, but I don't want you to have to do what I do in the way that I do it. Like, I build connections because I feel like I can help my mentees. I build connections because I feel like I can help my children when they come along, and to be able to go to somebody influential and say like, hey, can they get into this program? I know you're a part of it, because I have that connection with them and that's what they want to do. I feel like that is the legacy that I'm building, not necessarily making them do what I'm doing.
I think that's good. And before we close, you spoke on mentees. So do you have like a mentorship program, or can people like, is that like a paid thing, or is it like how's that?
So some people just come to me, and it might be just for like a couple of months or whatever, but they'll be like, oh, I really want to learn how to perfect skin, or I want to learn how to do this. And I mentor people out the kindness of my heart. Like, if you're in it and you're dedicated, cool, let's do it. If you're not dedicated, cool. Like, it's not no paid program or anything like that. If it's something that somebody was really dedicating, like, hey, I need classes here and there, I do have something that, it's paid for, but I just like to share information. That's it.
Yeah, so y'all heard that, right? So if you want to be mentored and you are going to be serious about it, as you said, and they can reach out to you how? On
JaNeceBradford.com.
So JaNeceBradford.com for the book, JaNeceBradford.com. I guess if we give them your socials, I mean, we can give it to them.
So even on social media, you can reach out there. It's JNB_artistry. And you can reach out to me there if you ever interested.
And get the book. Use the book. I promise you that I always look at like stuff like workbooks and things like that. Like, it can't hurt. Like, you know, like 9 out of 10, if you go through it and sometimes you feel like, oh, okay, well, I got something from a chapter or from a couple chapters, I feel like then it was a success.
Yeah. And
you're bound to get something. You see it here, In Pursuit of a Dream, and that is on her website, so please make sure you guys check it out. Thank you so much for stopping and talking to me. I appreciate it so much. And until next time, I hope you all take care, and we can toast again.
Thanks for having me.